Watch today as we get into 12, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Central, 3. I mean, it's a volatile setup today. People need to make sure they're paying attention. It's Eastern Iowa, Northern Illinois, and then portions potentially all the way up to Central to Southern Wisconsin. Looks like Southern Wisconsin, though. Really, really interesting watching this develop on the future satellite, the simulated IR satellite. So just wanted to show you guys that. Here we go. This is the future reflectivity here. This is the updraft helicity reflectivity. So when you see these little areas right here, these kind of little shaded areas, this is just this reflectivity telling us there could be some strong updrafts here. Basically, it's saying, hey, we think this may be a strong supercell. So you can see what happens today as we get into around potentially as early as 12 p.m. Central Time. We could have some strong storms firing off in central Iowa, in and around that region. As we push through the afternoon, these storms begin to expand. You see other storms beginning to fire off around it. And now we're getting into the late afternoon. And again, areas out there in eastern Iowa, I'm talking Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Waterloo, Dubuque, you guys all need to be paying attention. And then these storms are going to be pushing east towards Madison, Rockford, Illinois, and then eventually out towards Milwaukee, Kenosha, potentially out there towards Chicago. But again, you need to start paying attention early in the afternoon today. These storms could be crossing over into Illinois and Wisconsin mid to late afternoon, and then definitely in the evening hours, we could see this thing consolidate potentially into what we call a mesoscale convective system, MCS, and this is when we could get a very damaging wind event along with still having that hail and tornado risk today. So let's make sure we're paying attention there. As I push over, you can see we're not just watching up there through portions of Iowa and Illinois and Wisconsin, but that's where I definitely think the most severe weather could be today. So does the Storm Prediction Center. But watch what's happening in the southern plains as we get into around 2, 3, 4 p.m. Central. Those storms start to fire off in central Texas, Red River Valley, pushing up into central Oklahoma. So please, as we push through the afternoon and early evening hours in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, again, anyone who's in this risk zone out here, make sure you're paying attention, make sure you're staying weather aware. And we could have some strong storms pushing through portions of New England as well as we get into the mid-afternoon hours. We'll say 2 to 3 p.m. and then kind of the early evening hours. Those should start to dissipate and push off the coast. All right, here's our upper or mid-level pattern, our 500 millibar pattern. This is what helps to organize storms if we do have them firing off, which we believe we will. You can see we kind of have some of these shortwave features here pushing over eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. This is a pretty impressive look. I'll just tell you on the 500 millibar map, we have some strong winds, really, really strong flow, and some impressive shortwaves showing up here out in this region. And you can see what's happening on our lower level. This is where this is what helps to spin up the storms on the surface. And, we're looking at potentially 65, in some areas localized 70 knots of shear. So that's almost 90 mile per hour winds just above our heads, trying to, again, spin up some storms, spin these supercells, give us a chance for tornadoes. And you can see that happening again in eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. And then as we get a little bit later into the evening, or as we push into the early to mid evening, you can really see this shear intensify. And this is when I think we could get, like I said, more of a wind event, a bow echo off of an MCS or something like that.